Dead Age from Head Up Games finally finds its way to the PS4 here. This is a game that was actually released all the way back in 2016 on the PC. In fact, the original release is so old now at this point that they're actually closing in on a sequel pretty soon on Steam. That's scheduled for a 2020 release very early here in this year. But now for the first time, PlayStation fans will get the chance to experience the original game, and really, it depends on a lot of factors whether you'll be into this game or not. For one, the big major thing is going to be if you like survival aspects in your games, because there are a ton of survival elements to playing Dead Age. You're given various tasks traveling from place to place, and traveling actually takes place through static screens, so don't expect anything exciting presentation-wise, because you're going to be getting a lot of very basic artwork with almost the entirety of the story elements being told through storyboards. And different missions will basically push you in a direction as to where you want to go next. So if something's happening in a park, for example, you'll want to click on that park, go to that area, and solve the problem that you might be facing, whether that be a girl wants to go on a date with you, or if you need to rescue a loved one, anything like that. You go to these areas, and then you are greeted to a combat system, which is very much a simplistic turn-based role-playing game. Using an assortment of the different weapons you've either picked up along your path, or just crafting different things, because there's a huge crafting element to the game as well, where you'll get new materials by searching places and just picking them up along your way. You'll create weapons, and basically, just like you would in a traditional Japanese role-playing game or something, pick attacks from a menu and then decide which enemy you want to hit, use that attack, and then that enemy will get its turn, just as you would expect. So oddly enough, fans of role-playing games, especially traditional ones, are actually going to feel right at home in a way with this very simplistic turn-based combat system that they've implemented for the game. And the way they managed to fuse that with survival elements is something unique and different that I can appreciate greatly. I'm not the biggest survival fan in the world, but I do kind of like what they did here just because I am a huge RPG fan. There's tons of options. You can work on being a medic, which will increase your healing abilities, or you can work on being more of a tactician. There's lots of options and lots of customization that can be done. And for those of you that really like scrapping and creating different weapons and different healing items, etc., you're really going to find a lot to delve into here that you'll probably appreciate greatly. Graphically, however, I wasn't too taken by the presentation of this game overall. I think the turn-based battles don't look particularly great. They're actually pretty bland. There's not a lot to them, the character models aren't particularly detailed, and the animations of the game aren't really anything to write home about either. That said, some of the hand-drawn art is pretty decent, and there's a lot of different stories to go through, even though the way things ultimately play out gameplay-wise is kind of the same loop over and over again. And that wore a bit thin on me after a while. The sound design is pretty decent, but none of the musical tracks really stood out to me. Nothing noteworthy that I can even recall or even care to comment on. It's just sort of background noise for the backdrop that you're in. It works, it fits the setting, but it's nothing standout and nothing that you're going to, by any means, be listening to after the fact. Really, the strong point of this game is in its elements, such as crafting and creating jobs and all of those different things that survival fans really like. The classic role-playing style battles are fun, and there's a good amount of strategy to them. You'll have a lot of different weapons to choose from and a lot of ways to approach these battles. And so long as you're on board with that type of gameplay, there's quite a bit of content here, and I believe up to 6 different endings, so you'll have a lot of gameplay as long as you like the gameplay loop. It wasn't particularly my cup of tea, but I do think survival fans are going to enjoy it quite a bit. And there's permadeath as well, so you're going to find yourself looping over and over again, having to get better, grind out, become more and more powerful. There's a whole camp where you have survivors to take care of, and it's a big, elaborate series of systems and mechanics that you're really either going to love or hate depending on your tolerance for this genre. It's a massive grind that will ultimately likely wear you out, but there is some fun to be had and definitely some unique elements to its combat system. If this type of game appeals to you in any way and you happen to like zombies, then Dead Age will be a no-brainer. But if you're turned off by complexities and a lot of different systems in your games, then Dead Age will do nothing to change your mind. For more on Dead Age and all of our content, please visit MediaMoogle.net, and if you like our video content, please do hit the subscribe button below. Thanks so much for watching.